darlings, welcome back to Monday Mindfulness, welcome back to another episode. Today we are tackling such a big topic. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually a little bit nervous because this is so important. It's important to me personally, it's important for us to talk about, and as I said, it is a really big topic, so bear with me as we go through this video. I am gonna set out a rough timeline for what I'm going to talk about in today's video, but basically I'm going to be talking about body confidence, body positivity, diet culture, and any sort of issues around those topics. So there is an awful lot to unpack here, but I think first and foremost I want to say the aim of this video today is in some way to hopefully offer any support or comfort or reassurance to anyone that is struggling with any of these topics, or anyone that is on a journey, anyone that feels that they are kind of alone with this, because that I do think is a huge factor in it, is that so many of us struggle with these issues and yet we somehow still feel alone with it. So maybe whilst you're watching this video you can think of me as maybe like a friend or your big sister who has honestly been there, done that, got the t-shirt, probably gone back round again, and has kind of been on a full journey myself. And I will say I'm probably still on a bit of a journey with it, but I have really kind of exasperated all aspects of what I'm going to talk about today, which is why, to start off this video, I am going to talk a little bit about my personal journey, just to give some context and why I feel I kind of want to talk about this. So that will be the first kind of section of this video. Then I'm going to move into body positivity, and then third I'm going to talk about diet culture and how problematic it is. And then finally I did put a little story on Instagram asking for any thoughts or questions. If there's anything I've not already addressed, I will just recap it there. So I have timestamped it all in the description box if you want to skip to a certain section. But I think I shall just get started and I will explain a little bit about my personal experience on these subjects. So for me personally, it is interesting now that I have been on this journey and I'm still on this journey, I can look back and really see how problematic my mindset was, how problematic some of the environments that I was in were. And I think it's one of these things, the more you learn, the more you understand it, the more you can then look back with a sort of critical eye. And I don't mean critical as in judging, I mean critical as in you are kind of dissecting it and understanding exactly the problems. So I'm going to try and keep this bit short because I don't want it to be too much about me. I want this to be as relatable as possible and keeping it kind of an open discussion, but I do think I would like to provide some context. If anyone is interested in a further video, I would be happy to go into more depth and details as to my own personal struggle, but I'm just going to give a snapshot in this video. So when I look back at kind of my childhood, I do think there are some instances that you could pick out as saying, okay, there may be the starting of some kind of issues there to do with body image and body positivity. But it wasn't until I was around about 17 or 18 where I would say is the clear starting point. And basically around that age I gained weight. I didn't really notice it, to be honest. I think I was probably slightly aware, but I wasn't, I to be honest wasn't that aware. It was pointed out to me that I had gained weight, and this then started my weight loss journey. So, and at that point I actually started a reasonable, moderate attempt at losing weight, and it was actually okay. So I you know, looked at what I was eating, I exercised a bit more, and I did lose weight in a sort of moderate manner. And that wasn't the point that it was a problem, to be honest. It then became an issue because somewhere along the line during this time I had obviously started placing my self-worth in my weight. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about self-worth in this video. So just to interject here, self-worth is the idea of being enough. Sorry, I'm hoping you cannot hear that drilling. Of being enough, of knowing that you are enough, being the person that you are, it comes from within. Your self-worth is not placed on any external factors with, so for example, your self-worth is not based on what the scales say or your image or how successful you are at your job. Those are external factors. Your self-worth comes from within, that you are worthy, you are enough, and you deserve to be loved. So that's the idea of self-worth, roughly. And at this point in my life, I definitely had, looking back, I can see it now, that I had placed my self-worth in the number on the scales or how thin I felt, because I had lost weight. I enjoyed the feeling of losing weight, and I probably enjoyed being validated by people saying to me, you've lost weight, you look great. So actually that was kind of feeding that. So I just remember at this point thinking, I want to be thinner, I want to be thinner. And this was the kind of mantra that I got stuck with. So I actually remember at this point going to doctors and saying, I've been losing weight and I've stopped, I can't lose more, I want to lose more weight, how do I do it? And I think, that could have been a point where it could have been maybe addressed, that this was starting to progress into something a little bit more problematic. So, however, this was still not at its worst, because I then moved to Canada for a year where I was studying, and my lifestyle changed. I basically went to uni, I did a little bit of traveling, but I had more free time because I wasn't working alongside uni. I didn't have my family there. I had some friends, but we were mainly like going to uni together and then traveling. So I had more free time, and I basically got on a good routine with the gym and going to the gym 5-6 times a week. I definitely became obsessed with going to the gym, and I really remember at this stage becoming so focused on losing weight, being thin. That was the only way that I could really feel self-worth. Looking back, I would not have been able to explain that at that point, but I just remember thinking that this, and I think it's this problematic mindset of thinking things will be better when I'm this size or when I weigh this. And let me tell you now, if you aren't aware, that is just a really problematic mindset, because it's never enough. Once you're there, you're still not happy. So yeah, it was at this point, it was becoming an obsession. And I then came home from Canada after about a year, and I had lost weight because I was gymming a lot, and I didn't like Cadbury's chocolate in Canada. Sorry, it didn't taste as good as the British Cadbury, so I was eating less of that sort of thing, so it was actually easier for me. Sorry, I feel like I'm taking long to get this story, but then I returned home and my lifestyle changed again. I went back to my job, and actually it was the summertime, so I kind of slotted into full-time working, and I then was catching up a lot with family and friends that I hadn't seen. And I was living at home with my mum and dad, so in the countryside. I was not near a gym. There's no way I could commit 5-6 times a week to go to the gym when I was working. The gym was, the closest gym was probably maybe like half an hour or something like that. So it was a lot, it was just a different lifestyle once again. And this is when the panic, I would say, set in. I started to get really probably paranoid that I was gaining the weight again that I'd lost. And this is when I would say we really got to, this is a problem now kind of point. And I just had read somewhere that if you're not losing weight, you need to eat less and exercise more. So I just kept telling myself that, eat less, exercise more. And there were also some issues at this point with the environment that I was in, with talk of diet culture and losing weight. It was just a point in my life where I feel like there was a lot of that going on. And needless to say, I ended up putting myself on ridiculously restrictive diets where I would try and not eat like any carbohydrates. I would have like, I don't know, like I remember one day having like a yogurt for breakfast and then a bowl of soup for lunch, and trying not to have any carbs. I'm not going to go into the details of exactly, some of the things or thoughts that I was having, but take it from me, it was problematic, and I couldn't maintain this diet because it wasn't sustainable. And then I wouldn't just break the diet and say I'll have a small piece of chocolate. I would then eat. I would say, right, I've ruined the day. I've ruined this. This is a bad day. I'm gonna eat whatever the hell I want, and then I will reset on Monday. And I had all these sort of rules around food, which I'm going to talk about this probably later in the video when we get to diet culture. You have to remove the rules you have around food if you really want to have food freedom. So there was rules that I had, like I couldn't eat pasta at the start of the week. You know, maybe towards the like Thursday, Friday was okay to have pasta, but couldn't eat pasta on certain days. You know, things like pizza, which I love. I wouldn't eat pizza at the start of the week, maybe at the weekend. I remember grapes being told at one point, oh, grapes are very high in sugar, so don't eat grapes if you want to lose weight. So I like stored that, took it in, don't eat grapes. I mean, it's ludicrous when you actually think about it, but I was around about, I'm trying to think what age I would have been, 22, 23, so still quite young, and just totally sucked into this world of dieting, and thin is what I'm aiming for, losing weight, etc, etc. So throughout the rest of this video I will maybe touch on some of my own personal thoughts on that journey, but I just wanted to give a brief overview. I hope that wasn't too long. It was just to give some context. I am going to also talk about how I broke away from that throughout this video and give you some tips, give you some resources, because just to fast forward to now, I'm not saying that I don't ever struggle with this, I still do in terms of the eating side of things, but I have complete food freedom, so I no longer have rules. There might be some that are still there at the back of my head, but typically I really worked hard on removing all rules around food and eating. I no longer obsessively look at myself in the mirror from all angles. I no longer measure myself, and I don't really compare my body anymore to anyone else's, and that is a big factor, and it's one thing that a few people touched on Instagram about comparing, so I will be touching on that too. But I wanted to provide a kind of real-time update for anyone that resonates with any of that. Change is possible. It's all about your mindset and working towards that change, and hopefully this video is going to be a tiny little, I was going to say acorn, I don't know why, acorn of help towards improving your mindset on it. So that is me closing that kind of chapter on me. I'm going to go straight into now talking about body positivity. So, body positivity. First of all, I thought I would just give my kind of idea of what it is, and then I've also googled it and I have a sort of more standard definition just so we can be clear on what we're talking about. So for me, body positivity is loving, or at least being at peace with your body, no matter what stage you're at, what time of day it is, what outfit you're wearing, being comfortable in your own skin, and not criticizing your body for imperfections that are actually incredibly normal. So I think that is my rough view on it. To me, body positivity is looking at my stomach at 9 o'clock at night and thinking, okay, so it's bigger than it was when we woke up this morning, but that is absolutely fine. And actually bloating is so normal, it's so common. And another side of this is not looking at my bloated stomach and then looking at an Instagram bikini models and thinking, oh my god, like look at the difference. That one aspect of body positivity is being able to look at it, an image like that, and just see it for what it is. A beautiful bikini model, she has a stunning body, but that does not in any way impact me or my self-worth. It's actually not a narrative that I'm involved with. It's not to do with me. Does that make sense? I'm going to try and come back to that, but I'm going to read out the definition of body positivity from Google. So, body positivity is the understanding that no matter what your body looks like, you are worthy, you are beautiful, and you deserve to have a positive body image. Part of this is challenging how society views the body, promoting acceptance of all bodies. So, I think this is one of the issues that I personally struggled with. Was in my day, it wasn't so much Instagram, it was more like TV shows and films and probably magazines, and constantly being shown these perfect images or perfect girls, and I just thought, I don't look anything like them, and that's what's beautiful, and I'm not that. And I can see how it can only have gotten worse through Instagram developing over the years. And I didn't have Instagram when I was growing up, but I can only imagine what it is like being bombarded with these images and then comparing it to yourself. So to carry this kind of idea further of comparison, I'm now going to talk a little bit about comparing yourself to an image you've seen on Instagram. And this is something that have touched on with my Monday Realness on Instagram, where I've shown side-by-side pictures, one posed, lighting, etc., and then a second later, different angle, breathing out, etc. So, and I want to just deep dive into this a little bit further. So if we take an Instagram image, you have to remember Instagram, and I know we all say this, oh, Instagram's a highlight reel, but it absolutely is. It is a highlight reel. And each picture is a best case scenario. 9 times out of 10, 95% of the time. Obviously there's body positivity accounts that share kind of things like I've done on Monday Realness. Georgia's account, I'm going to link her account, is one of the best that I've seen. And yeah, but the majority of Instagram images, whether it is a celebrity, whether it's an influencer, whether it's someone you know, typically people pick the best image, the image they like the best to put out there into the world. So there's so many factors to it. Okay, so let's just dissect this. Number 1, you've got the angle. What angle has it been taken at? Number 2, the lighting. If it's a harsh, bright sunlight, it's going to pick up imperfections, it's going to pick up texture, it's going to pick up any blemishes. If it is the golden hour, I think I read recently a photographer came out and said that there is actually like a science behind why golden hour is almost adding a natural filter to images, because it softens everything. So that's why people like to take pictures in that lighting. And I'm not saying the pictures aren't beautiful and they shouldn't be shared. It's just you have to remember that you cannot compare this beautiful golden hour, girl on the beach versus you in your bathroom, harsh spotlight ding down on you, showing absolutely everything. Like, that is not a fair comparison. So we've got lighting, we've got angles, we've got breathing in. So part of this, I thought I would just quickly show you the difference, me breathing in, me breathing out. So please excuse my leggings, I hope they're probably a bit dusty, but here's me just now. I'm breathing in as much as I physically can, and now I'm breathing out. I mean, like, this is my stomach just naturally kind of breathing. This is me really pushing it out. This is me just kind of there. I mean, look at the difference. So someone may be standing like this in their picture versus a candid shot that's going to be like that. I mean, that difference there is so vast. So there we've got breathing in, lighting, angles. Then we're getting to the next level. Filters. They may actually have put a filter on it. Editing. So they may have edited it in some way. And finally, you've also got Photoshop. It literally could be Photoshopped. So when you're standing in, say, I mean, let's talk about for 1 second standing in a changing room in a shop, because that has got to be some of the most horrendous lighting and unflattering angles you see yourself. You're comparing that where you've maybe got like a light shining right up the back of your legs, and for me personally, I can see the cellulite going up the back of my legs and the stretch marks, versus someone on Instagram's posted a lovely picture of their bottom in golden lighting that they've probably filtered and then maybe even retouched. It's not a fair comparison. So this is the first point on this comparison aspect, is that if we were to say in some sort of science experiment, like we want to have everything, what's that word? When you've got like it's like standard. You can't have varying factors. It's got to be the same. If we were actually doing this as a science experiment, yeah, what am I trying to say? There's like a control. There is no control here because the factors are so vastly different. So this is what I'm trying to say. First of all, it is just not a fair comparison to compare your behind the scenes to someone else's on screen. And that is why I have shared my own images on these. But there is a part 2 to this, because if you are finding that you are really struggling with comparing yourself a lot of the time, if it's making you feel lower or less worthy, then you also need to look a little bit into yourself and work out, why are you feeling that way? So this is getting a little bit deeper, and it's something that I have actually been working on since the start of this year, and understanding why is it when you may see a picture of someone, do you then feel less worthy? Because you want to get to a place where you can see a picture of someone else and think, wow, they look amazing, and celebrate that. And then you can remind yourself it's a best case scenario, but also that doesn't affect me. So I think this second part of this is to do with your self-worth, because you might think, well, do you know what, I'm just going to delete Instagram, I don't want to see these images, and I'm not against that if you feel that that is what you want to do, but I would say you probably want to just look a little deep inside yourself and work out what is the root of this issue though, because you also have real life scenarios. You might see someone who has the figure that you want, and you cannot really block that out. So whilst I do think Instagram can be problematic for this sort of thing, I would also say you can look to accounts that don't consistently show you this level of perfection. So maybe some fitness accounts that really only show like literally the flattest tummies or the most toned, beautiful bikini bodies. You can organize your feed to show accounts that do support body positivity, or maybe some like I follow my Self-Worth Supply, I think it's called, which is a sort of mental health account. It's definitely a tip that I would recommend to anyone, is Instagram can be the space that you want it to be. So maybe you can add some more accounts to the ones that you are following that really align with this mindset that you're trying to get to. So also at this moment, I thought I would mention a podcast that I recently listened to, which is the Self-Love Fix, and Beatrice, who is amazing. Like, she has such a beautiful spirit and voice. She basically did, I think it was the first episode, which was signs that you were walking in self-love. And self-love is something that I am working on. So this is really, if I was to go through all my issues and work out, okay, what is the current theme? And with my weight issues and my image issues, the underlying feeling was that I had low self-worth, I didn't feel enough, I didn't feel good enough, and I didn't love myself. I can't say that I am literally like, I love me so much now, like I'm not there yet, but it's something that I'm really working on, and I'm using materials like this podcast and other books and YouTubes to work on it. So if you are on this journey as well, just, do you know what, take it baby steps, day by day. So one other thing I wanted to briefly mention is the environment that you might be in. So I think this is probably most common in younger girls, maybe sort of late teens, early 20s. And I honestly don't know if girls still do this, but when I was younger, there was a definite culture, like in that bit in Mean Girls, when they're like, I hate my shoulders and I hate this. And it's almost expected that you kind of trash talk your own body. And it can become really, I'm struggling for words, but it's just a very toxic environment, because it's like you've got to keep coming up with worse things about yourself. And you know, when someone says something like, oh my god, I'm so fat, I need to lose weight, and you know, maybe you're standing there thinking, okay, well, I'm bigger than you, so what does that mean about me? You know, that kind of circle is just, that is really unhelpful if you're trying to work on your self-worth. And I want to quickly mention, what if someone else makes a sort of comment about you or your weight? You have to just remember, do you know what? Again, that is not about me. It's actually not about you. It's not about you. That is them projecting their own issues, their low body image, and projecting it out there. Chances are they are struggling with their body image if they are making that sort of comment. That doesn't make it any easier to take, but I just wanted to briefly mention that, as I think that is all part of this kind of world of body positivity and diet culture. So I'm now going to move into the next section on diet culture. Okay, so we are now moving into diet culture. And I am ready to trash talk diet culture. It's taken me a long time to get here, but I have finally understood the problems around dieting, diet culture, and the promotion of this mindset. So if you're thinking, what is diet culture? My understanding of it, and I do have an actual definition as well, but the way I view it is essentially, simply put, the promotion of dieting in a way that involves restrictions, food rules, and telling you, categorizing food, so food that's either good or bad. That's one clear sign that you have been, that diet culture has infiltrated its mindset to you. There are no good or bad foods, they're just food. Some with higher nutritional value, some with lower nutritional value, but food is not bad unless it's gone off. So I'm going to read out the actual definition of diet culture, and then we're going to talk about some examples. So this is the definition I got from Google. Diet culture is a rigid set of expectations about valuing thinness and attractiveness over physical health and emotional well-being. So I guess that is the core of it. So it is kind of doing anything to get to that goal of being thin and attractive, really. So here are some examples. So labeling food. So I've kind of touched on that with the good or bad. And this also comes across in when people say things like, oh, I'm being good, I'm not going to eat that cake, or I'm being bad, I'm going to have a bit of cake. I really dislike that when people say that, because you're not being bad by having a bit of cake. And I know people will say that very casually, and I'm not about to jump down someone's throat for saying that, but this is important. Food should not instill guilt. I don't feel guilty for eating anything now. I honestly don't. The only thing I do sometimes feel if I overeat, because it happens, I have had issues with eating. Sometimes if I overeat, I just feel unwell, but I don't feel guilty. So you really want to remove any guilt around eating anything, whether it's chocolate or carbs or pizza or whatever. There should be no guilt around food. So labeling food as good or bad, this all or nothing mindset, again, is a real indicator that you might want to work on removing these diet culture ways of thinking. So I used to think of my days as, I'm having a good day today, I will be eating clean food. I'm using a lot of this because it's so called in my head. I thought it was clean food. So, you know, lettuce and a bit of chicken, or just carrots or I don't know why I said carrots, but as soon as I had a bad item, the day would switch to a bad day, and then I would just eat everything I categorized as bad. Do you know what I mean? That was the mindset I was in. So I was trying to have good, 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 and then it was a bad day, and then, oh gosh, right, the week's effed, let's start again on Monday. And then it was an even stricter diet. It was even more restrictive. So let's carry on. Eating rules. So I've touched on this as well. So maybe I only have pasta on certain days, or I don't eat after 6 o'clock at night. And don't get me wrong, some of these rules, they might work for some people, not eating late at night, but I'm talking about if you've got a real collection of rules around when you will eat things. Or there's some things that I have to like check myself on. I'm like, no, that is a rule I've placed. So I didn't really used to drink orange juice that much, like a fresh orange juice, because I'm like, ooh, the calories, a lot of calories in an orange juice, so probably just have a water. Whereas now I'm like, okay, orange juice is delicious, and I can't believe I wouldn't drink that. So eliminating whole food groups. I am so against any diet program or PT or anything that says don't have carbs. I just find that so problematic, and I did have a PT for a while a couple of years ago, back when I was out of the real forefront of those issues, but I had to try and gently say to him, like, please do not try and dictate what I'm eating, because it's not going to end well. And it's difficult, because if your eating habits are not a problem for you and they're not problematic, then you can have rules in place if you wish, but if it's a problem, you need to remove the rules. Meanwhile, I'm going to have a sip of hot chocolate. Exercise for punishment. So again, if you think, oh gosh, I had a big dinner last night, I need to go for a 6-mile run now. Again, it's just not the most helpful mindset. Exercise should be something that we enjoy doing and we want to do, not as punishment because we've eaten. We need to eat to give us energy and to stay alive, so it shouldn't be this kind of tug of war between the two. And also, I just want to say, I hope I'm not coming across as if I'm like totally like preaching this. It's just, I have been there and done that, and I didn't understand any of this. So I hope that I'm coming from a place of understanding and not a place of like, you know, do this, not that. Like, that's absolutely not the way I want to come across. Food anxiety. So this is kind of what I touched on. And then we've got food guilt. So you should not be anxious eating certain food unless you are allergic or something like that. You should not have any anxiety about whether you're about to eat a pizza or feel guilty because you've eaten a pizza, or, you know, there should just be no guilt around something like that. And then I've just touched on the mindset again here of I've been good today, I've been bad today, I'm trying to be good. Or people say, oh, this dessert's so sinful. Like, as a statement, okay, fine, but you can't read too much into that. You're not being sinful by having a bit of cake, okay? So I want to give you some resources which are actually amazing on this subject. And if I was to give you a tip as to how to get away from this mindset of needing to be thin and losing weight and diet culture, two accounts that I would really recommend you follow on Instagram are Lucy Mountain. So I'm going to include some of her posts here. She is utterly incredible in what she has done. I would say her and the second account, which is Dr. Josh Woolridge, those two kind of single-handedly helped me get over my eating disorder. So I know I was aware of not actually saying that phrase because it's still not one I'm that confident and comfortable actually saying, but they single-handedly helped me remove these rules and these mindsets. So a calorie is just a calorie. So whether you have 500 calories worth of chicken or 500 calories worth of chocolate, it's 500 calories. And I know there's nutritional value, there's differences, but at the end of the day, you shouldn't have any feelings attached to that. So whether you've had a good day where you've eaten chicken because you've had 500 calories worth of that or 500 calories worth of chocolate, that should not affect your mindset and how you feel about yourself, and whether you've achieved what you wanted from that day, because it's just, they are equal in terms of their calorie value. That's the kind of thing that she will share in kind of infographics. She also had a post that blew up, like went viral, about cellulite and how it is literally just the formation of the cells and why women get cellulite and men typically don't, and the science behind that. So, she really shares a lot of funny stuff as well, like, kind of crazy diet ideas, like as in literally like 3 tablespoons of soil for your dinner. Really, she's making it funny by showing how ludicrous diet culture is. And the other account that I would really recommend that I mentioned was Dr. Josh Woolridge. I'm actually just gonna maybe pull up his page and I will share some of his posts, but to give you an idea.
Diet culture has a habit of normalizing eating disorder behaviors. It's sneaky. It allows us to justify our disordered eating by wrapping it up in a supposed blanket of wellness. Don't let it trick you.
I don't know if he still posts using this, but he at one point was using a hashtag Nutribolics, which was kind of really dismissing all these like headline claims that we see in like the Daily Mail, like this causes cancer or this causes this, and he was literally just completely tearing through them and giving you facts and science behind it as a doctor. So yeah, basically he has shared a lot on these subjects, and yeah, he's just a really good account to follow as well. So this is me kind of reaching the end of the video. I'm aware this has probably been a long video, so thank you if you have made it to this point. To just finish up, I'm just going to go through some of the kind of questions and thoughts that I had on Instagram and just touch on any of them if I didn't sort of directly address them in the video. So we had a couple of comments about focusing on how you look and making that kind of your main objective in life, and also the idea of being thin as a goal and thinking that thin is better. So I would think with both of these kind of points, what we're really looking at here is placing our self-worth in something external and something completely subjective and something that is actually likely to change. So we are placing our self-worth in our image, and our image does change. We obviously get older, circumstances change. You might gain weight, you might lose weight. So if you place your self-worth in that, it's really fluid. There's no consistency. So I would say with these 2 points, you want to look at your self-worth and really work on bringing that out from within, and then that cannot be changed. That cannot be taken away from you. And there was a follow-up point about there's more to life than how you look, and we don't solely exist to lose weight. And this is so true and so valid. I feel like when I was in that mindset, that is all I thought about, was being thin and losing weight and waking up and wanting to feel thin and going to sleep. I mean, I used to go to sleep and I liked to go to bed and feel hungry because I felt I would wake up and feel thin. It was just such a problematic mindset. And there was another comment about, is it possible to love your body and still be working on it? And this is one thing I wanted to mention about the body positivity movement, and where there can sometimes be a little bit of an issue with people saying that, or feeling that they absolutely have to love their body at every given minute, or it's, you should love your body at all times, no matter the circumstance. But in actual fact, it is perfectly fine to still feel slightly self-conscious or slightly insecure about things, or to actually still want to change. Like, that is still okay. And Lucy Mountain actually had a great post on this on Christmas Day. She was like, hey, it's okay if on Christmas Day you want to exercise, you want to do a workout. And hey, it's also okay if you don't want to exercise. It's okay if you haven't exercised in however long. So that's the mindset I think we should try and adopt, is that if someone wants to lose weight, there is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with them wanting to lose weight. But I think if you are in that category, you just want to be doing it in a way that you are not trying to increase your self-worth, you are not following these diet culture rules, and you are enjoying a journey and it's a lifestyle change. You're not on some diet. It's got to be a lifestyle change. If you're adding a new exercise to your lifestyle, that could definitely help you on a weight loss journey. Okay, I'm sorry about that. My camera battery is completely dead now. That just shows I've been talking and talking and talking. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of finish up the video. I was just saying about it is absolutely possible to love your body and still be working on it. I think I fall into the category of aiming to completely love my body and me, and I'm not there yet. I am on this journey of self-worth and self-love. So this is something that I would definitely like to follow up with in a future video. Sorry, I feel like I think I was squinty. So I am just now going to kind of wrap up this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. I'm sorry if it's been really, really long, but thank you for sticking with it. If this was in any way helpful, please let me know, because this is a subject that I am passionate about. The same with mental health in general. As I've documented in this video, I have had my own mental health struggles, and I just think had I maybe listened to someone else talking about it, I might have understood how consumed I was by this mindset. So this was my 4th episode of Monday Mindfulness. I will be back again soon with another episode. If there's any topics you'd like me to cover, please do let me know. But thank you so much for watching. Please leave me any comments, or please send me any messages if you want to ask or add anything about this. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.